In this video, we'll discuss whether vine ripening a tomato is worth it and some science behind tomato ripening. I'll also show you how I save tomato seed, and then there'll be an offer for some free brandywine seed. These two here are both brandywine, and the one on the right is the one that was grafted. So let's go up the plants and let you see what they look like. They're about the same height. They both stopped fruiting right here, and they both have a ripe tomato, or nearly ripe, almost completely ripe actually, on the vine. Tomato here, and a couple green ones here. This one got so heavy it bent. This one didn't, but it's got two on it. Anyway, as it got hotter, they quit producing. And I can validate definitively what Midwest Gardener said. Once temperature, Jim at Midwest Gardener, once temperatures get above 90 to 95 for sure during the day, and you add that to temperatures that get above 70 to 75 at night, when both of those happen, tomatoes quit fruiting because the pollen's not viable, and there's nothing you can do at that point except wait it out. There's a lot of research on that. But anyway, I haven't been able to do anything about keeping the brandywines going. Now I do have some varieties I'm working on that are more heat tolerant. They're able to do a little more during the heat, but that's a whole nother video. So yeah, if your plants quit producing, don't worry about it. Don't kill them off. They will eventually come back when the temperatures drop below the daytime high or the nighttime high. They need the one of the two for that to happen, and if that happens for a duration of time, say like as summer is turning to fall, or if summer just starts cooling off, then your plants will start producing again and won't be an issue. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to terminate the brandywines. I don't see any value in continuing this, and I don't really care for brandywines a whole lot. I mean, they're a great tomato. You add some salt to them and make a tomato sandwich out of them. They're a good, you know, kind of a general tomato, but people highly value these. I prefer mine with a little more bite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect the seed off of them and do a giveaway of it. Now, most tomatoes will crack when they start to get mature, once they start turning color. Once a tomato has a blush, the first color, it closes off a membrane, and basically it's not producing any more nutrients and sugars and carbs back and forth in it. It's not going back and forth in the fruit and now the fruit. It's closed it off, and the only thing that goes into it after that point is water. And when it starts to ripen, it's not growing anymore. It's not in the green growing stage anymore. So if it gets an influx of water, what will happen is it can't do anything but expand, and if it's too much tension, like when it gets ripe here, it'll split. So that's what happens. You'll notice that on most green fruit, unless it's mature green, there's no cracking, and that's because this tomato is actively growing. And another thing that you can do if you're not fond of cracking is when a tomato gets mature green, it gets kind of a, you know, a little darker, especially towards the top here, green. And you know, even at this stage here, it kind of, when you notice it quits growing, basically, then you can take it and bring it in the house and ripen it on the counter, and it won't have the cracks because no more water is supplied to it. So it takes what's existing in the tomato and it'll redden up or yellow up or orange up, whatever color the tomato is. And also in high temperatures that we discussed a little while ago, a tomato will either very slowly ripen or it won't ripen at all because the pigmentation doesn't form in high temperatures. Now, I'm not making all this stuff up. You can go research it yourself. In fact, research it yourself. Don't trust anybody on anything, actually, fully. verify. Is that what Ronald Reagan said? Trust but verify. So anyway, yeah, if you want you know, nice looking fruit, like you could take this one, take it inside, and it'll be a beautiful fruit. It'll ripen up and it'll be gorgeous for you, and you won't have the cracking. Also, you won't have the potential for disease to come in, and they'll stay on the counter longer because they don't have exposure to issues through the cracks, so they'll stay good a little longer. So yeah, that's that. Let's go inside and cut these open and let you see what they look like. Okay, in the house, and we've got the grafted tomato on the right and the non-grafted on the left. And as you can imagine, and as it shows, there is no difference. So I'm going to collect the seeds on this. I want to talk a little bit more about flavor of vine ripened versus ripened on the countertop. Okay, when you vine ripen a tomato out in the garden, you're taking a lot of chances. You're taking a chance that bugs are going to get to them, that birds are going to get to them, that watering differences are going to crack them, sun scald. You're just taking all kinds of chances with these precious tomatoes. So you have to weigh the value of a garden ripened, vine ripened tomato over pulling it at mature green at, you know, when it first starts to turn color. And if you understand what mature green is, you could take it at mature green, which is just before that, and you bring it in on the countertop like here, you set it and you just let it turn on its own. By the way, never put a tomato in sunlight. It ripens from the temperature, not from sunlight. So anyway, yeah, bring it in, set it on the counter. You'll have picture perfect fruit. There's even some argument from some people in my research that say because it's not receiving any more water, or and it's got the sugars and everything already in it, then it can keep and ripen with the intensity without being bland, because it got a last minute flush of water if it was vine ripened. There's that argument, but a lot of people, in fact most old timers, will tell you vine ripened are just heavenly. Now, with all that said, I can tell you that me and my family cannot tell the difference. We can't tell the difference if it's vine ripened or not. I can pull it off vine ripened and cut one that was pulled off the plant 3 or 4 days earlier, and it's nice and pristine. I've cut them up and I have fed them to different members of my family, and they cannot tell which one was which, and nor can I. So if I'm honest with you, my preference is to take tomatoes at first blush or mature green, bring them inside and let them redden up or orange up or yellow up, whatever final color they're going to be, and eat them in the house like that. They're awesome to me. Now, not most, but a lot of people won't agree with that, but that's okay. If you want, share your opinions, what you think about it. I'd love to hear from you. So now I'm going to take the seeds, we're going to squeeze them into this cup, we're going to ferment them for about 3 or 4 days, and well, 3 days exactly, and then we're going to put the seeds on a plate and we're going to do a giveaway. Now I pulled one of these tomatoes off so I could show you. You see how, or maybe you can't see, but this tomato is at first blush. It is starting to turn, and the tomato seeds in there are already mature. They'll grow. There's no problem growing. In fact, if you get a tomato that's a little greener, that one might be too green. Let me look at another one here. And see, there's no color, signs of color. Then a lot of times at mature green, the seed will be ready, and I've grown them that way before. So let me cut them open. Let me cut this one open and show you what I'm talking about. All right, as you can tell, this is obviously green, still not completely ripe, and there are viable seeds already all throughout this tomato. And in fact, I'm going to collect these and add to the bunch. Now don't worry, they'll grow. Done it many times. Alright, here's the other two really green tomatoes. You can see that there are definitely seeds in there, and those are viable. This one is a little less, the seeds are a little smaller, probably not much viability here. Another way you can tell is how jealous this is. If it's kind of not full of nice liquid, you can tell it's not quite ready. But these are pretty juicy. But don't worry, I'm not going to put these in the seed giveaway. I'm just cutting it open so you can see. And if you like to save tomato seeds and you're at the end of the season and you're like, oh God, I couldn't get any seeds off my tomatoes, I want to save seeds, take the mature green ones and save the seed. And if you aren't sure, bring them inside, let them ripen on the counter. If they ripen, the seeds are good. I always recommend marking the container and the date, especially if you're forgetful like me. So okay, this is done on 9 July. It's Brandywine, and we have them in here. They're waiting to ferment, and all that means by fermenting is we leave it like it is, and the sugars will start to ferment and it'll remove the jelly stuff from around the seeds and allow the jelly is a preventative in a way, keeps the seed from germinating, but fermenting removes the jelly and allows it to germinate. So that's what we're going to do. Now I don't recommend doing it more than 3 days at all, 36 hours, or excuse me, 48. I don't recommend doing it more than 3 days. I said 36 hours. It's a day and a half. Anyway, so yeah, that's what is that, 72 hours? I don't recommend doing it more than 3 days. Because what happens is if you go longer than that, you'll actually sterilize the seed. You will actually lose everything, especially if it's a little bit warm. And if you go less than 3 days, you still have some of that jelly attached to the seed. Now I've gone as little as 2 days. I go between 2 and 3 days depending on how hot it is, but 3 days is the usual and everything should work fine for you. Now if you're married like I am and you're going to do it inside, you need to put something on top of this because it'll start to stink after a couple days, and that will permeate throughout the house, and your wife will be very agitated with you. Ask me how I know. And so what I did was just put some paper plates on top of it. We'll come back in 3 days and I will show you how I saved the seed. It's very, very easy. Alright, now it is time to collect the seed. And you'll see from inside this cup here, it's pretty gross. Sometimes it'll form like a little layer of, I don't know what you call it, like a leather or something. It's not leather, it's just well, I don't know what it is, but it's from the growth of mold and mildew and crap. Anyway, that's what that is. You'll get a little layer. You could just remove that with a knife. So now you've got the seed that's in here. It's mixed with the pulp that is broken down some. So the first thing you do is just fill it full of water. You stir it. And what that does is it breaks the seed away that may have been clinging to anything, and the heavier seed will float to the bottom. Just let it sit there for a second. And I always use a colander. This one's a fine mesh to strain to catch anything that may come out, but the first pouring should be mostly pulp. Like so. We pour the majority out, and I'll get this fork here. You can see there's not a lot of seed in it because it's sunk to the bottom. So then what I do is get rid of this, just like so, and I add it full of water. you don't have to mix it anymore because the majority of the pulp is gone. And just wait a second or two. And you see some pulp has come to the top. Pour it off again. See, there's no seeds in there. What it looks like in there. Continue to pour. I'm going to move over a little bit so I can see a little better. Now then, see the seed down in there? Mostly pulp, no seed. Do it again. Mostly clear, seeds floating and curling, and it's going to sink to the bottom. Pour it. Now the seed in there is mostly clear. Good to go. Got a few in here, and that's why I pour it into the colander. So I'll just take my finger like that and pour it on the tray. I got a little aggressive because I'm videoing it, but yeah, it's real easy from here. The final one, all I do is just fill it full of water, just dump it right in there like that. It's all done. It's all in here. Now, the cup is bad, so throw it away. I'm going to grab a paper towel over here. Alright. It's a mess. Get that taken care of before the light wakes up. We have seed in here, clean, almost no pulp, if any. And turn it a little bit sideways, let it drain off some. Then I take a paper towel and I hold it on the bottom here. And all that does is get any extra seed that may be, or any extra moisture that may be attached. Then I take my plate. Let me do it the way I normally do it. Let me bring the camera around and show you. Here, and I take the colander over the plate and just tap it right down like that. All the seeds gone. It's all in here. It's pretty wet still. I'll just mash it around just a little bit, spread it just a little bit, and then we'll stick it in the back bedroom for a couple hours. Now this is the same seed just a couple hours later. And you can see kind of how it's stuck together, stuck a little bit to the plate. But all you got to do is I take my fingernails, my fingers, and I just scrape it just like this. Get all the pieces over here. Just kind of collect it, and you still have some that are lumped together. So all I do is just grab it like that and just kind of twist it in my fingers a few times. That's pretty much it. Then it's loose. And when I go to plant it, if there's a couple stuck together that I don't want it to be, then I just kind of separate them. That's all there is to it. Seed saved. Piece of cake. So yep, this is a brandy wine. Regular old brandy wine. If any of you want some seed, just shoot me an email. I'll put my email in the video here. And I'll give you the address to send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and then I'll send you some seed. That easy. It's Brent. We'll see you later. Well, that wraps up this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, please comment, like, and subscribe. In order to subscribe, all you got to do is click the button here. We'll put a check mark next to it. If you want to get notification the next time I make a video, click on the bell here, check here, and hit save. You guys take care.